Bill wrote this letter to Mary. We've talked on the phone and in my apartment, and now I'm writing this letter. Maybe if I put my thoughts and feelings in writing, you'll understand them better. I love you. I want to marry you. I want to be with you for the rest of my life. You are the most wonderful woman I have ever met. You are not a load. You are not a troublemaker. Yes, you have problems. So do I. And together we can solve these problems more easily than if we were apart. Problems are a part of life, but so is happiness. Let's share our problems and happiness instead of experiencing them alone. We are not a bad fit. We are a perfect match. I do not look down on you. I look up to you. I admire you. I think you are smart, brave, and independent. Don't tell me to go find another woman. I don't want another woman. I have found the perfect woman. Every day I think about your beautiful smile, your happy laugh. I think about the long walks we used to take, holding hands all the way. Remember how we used to sit on the grass in the park and watch the parrots? We were going to get married, and now you want to be just friends. Whatever I did or said that was wrong, please tell me so we can work this out. I don't want to lose you. Liz was excited. She was going to Asia with her mom. Neither of them had ever traveled out of the United States before. They were going to fly to Hong Kong. After staying in Hong Kong for 3 nights, they would travel on their cruise ship to Shanghai and Beijing. Beijing is inland, so we have to take about a 2-hour bus ride to get there from the port. I forget the name of the port. Anyway, we're going to see the Great Wall, the Tiananmen Square, and the Forbidden City. It's going to be so cool, she told her neighbor Jane. From China, the cruise ship would go to Busan in South Korea, and finally to Tokyo. From Tokyo, they would catch a flight back to Los Angeles. The trip is going to last 3 weeks. It's only going to cost us $2,800 each, if we can control our urge to shop, she laughed. I hope your trip is more fun than mine was, said Jane. I took a cruise to the Bahamas, but almost all the passengers got sick. I caught some kind of virus that made me throw up for almost 3 days. They gave us a discount that we could use on a future trip. Ha! No more cruising for me. We've heard about those disasters, said Liz. Mom and I are going to be washing our hands every 30 minutes, and we're bringing surgical masks with us. Gary and Alma were having problems again. But you told me it was okay to call up Carol, said Gary. I asked you if it was okay to talk to her, because it was her birthday, and I've wished her a happy birthday every year for the last 10 years. But you had already promised me that you would never call her again. You promised me that, so you lied to me. But I had forgotten that I told you that. You know that I forget things. I'm not going to argue with you. You have a memory like an elephant. But you got to believe me, I completely forgot. And more important, Carol is just a friend. No, she isn't. She's still in love with you. But I'm not in love with her. She can love me all she wants. But I'm not in love with her. I never was. Well, you say that. Maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. But the important thing is that you never know what the future will bring. You say that nothing will happen between you and her, but you don't know that for sure because you don't know the future. Yes, you're right. No one knows the future. I could fall in love with her again, and she and I might run off and get married and have 9 or 10 kids. Again? What do you mean, again? It was only a '93 Lincoln, but he loved it. Not a ding on it. Only 75,000 miles, even though it was 14 years old. The leather seats were like new, as was the headliner. All the bells and whistles worked, including the cruise control and the power seats and mirrors. It even got 14 miles per gallon. What was not to love? She hated it. She hated it because she thought he loved his car more than he loved her. "We can't go anywhere because all you do is worry about what will happen to your car," she complained. "The last time we went shopping, after an hour you stopped talking and listening to me. You had that long face. I knew what you were thinking about." "What was I thinking about?" he asked. "You were thinking about your Lincoln," she continued. "When we went out to the parking lot, you walked all around it to check for fresh dings. Then, when you saw none, you unlocked the car and got in. As usual, you didn't open the door for me because you were so busy adjusting the airflow out of the dashboard vents." "I just do that to make you feel comfortable," he said. "If you really want to make me feel comfortable," she said, "sell this car." Johnny asked Dottie how her first day in her Duarte ESL class was. It was terrible, she told him. She understood little of what the Level 4 teacher said. He spoke too fast for her. She had struggled through a Level 3 class at a Monrovia school. When the teacher asked if there were any questions, she told him that she didn't understand most of what he had said. He told her not to worry. She could take the class again if she failed it the first time. She didn't want to fail it the first time, however, or any time. He gave them homework the first day, of course. They were supposed to write a 300-word essay supporting gun control. Of course, Dottie said, she could write that essay in her native language, but there was no way she could write it in English. She showed Johnny the textbook. The print was so tiny that trying to read just a few pages gave her a headache. On top of that was all the new vocabulary on each page. "I'm going to drop the class," she said. She wanted to cry. When was she ever going to learn this language? "Let's go to Walmart," Elizabeth told Kenneth. She wanted to buy some paint supplies. He suggested that they go to Home Depot instead because employees there could tell them exactly what to buy. After arriving there, Elizabeth found a friendly-looking worker who was momentarily free. "Excuse me," she said. "Could you help us?" She explained that she wanted to paint her office. "Neither me nor my husband knows how to do it, so please tell us the basics," she added. He smiled and told her that it was simple. All they needed were 2 gallons of white glossy paint, a roller, a tray and an insert to pour the paint in, and an extension handle to reach the high parts of each wall. "Don't we need primer?" Kenneth asked. "Oh, yes, of course. I was getting to that. If you don't put primer on first, the paint won't stick to the walls. Here are 2 gallons of good but inexpensive primer, and a brush would be a good idea for use in the corners and edges, and that should take care of it. Just put the primer on first, let it dry for a couple of hours, then put on 1 coat of paint, let it dry. Then, if you want to, put on another coat, but it shouldn't be necessary." As they were putting the items into the trunk, Kenneth told her they should buy a ladder, too. "We're going to have to use the brush to paint up near the ceiling. The roller won't do in a corner," Kenneth said. "We don't need a stepladder. I can sit on your shoulders," Elizabeth laughed. They went back inside and bought a stepladder. Zach drove over to his fiancée's place. She was in China visiting her parents. Her son Bradley hadn't gone with her. Bradley was a junior in high school. He neither liked nor disliked Zach. Even though he had known Zach for 3 years, Zach was still trying to win Bradley over. He called Bradley to tell him that he was coming over. Bradley said okay. When Zach got there, he checked all of Christine's mail to see if there were any bills to pay. There were none. He asked if Bradley wanted to drive Zach's car. Bradley had a driver's permit and was always pestering his mom to let him drive her car. Bradley said all right. Zach told him not to speed, but he could drive anywhere he wanted. Bradley got on the 210 freeway and headed northwest to where it meets the 5. Zach gave Bradley a few driving tips. Don't drive next to big rigs, because you never know when they might tip over and crush you. Don't drive behind pickup trucks with loads, because you never know when something in the truck will get airborne and come flying through your windshield. On their way back, Zach suggested that they stop at the driving range. He wanted to show Bradley how to play golf. Bradley wasn't enthusiastic. He preferred his video games. But Bradley soon discovered that golf was fun. He hit a large bucket of balls. Zach told him that he had a natural swing. The next day, Bradley, for the first time ever, called Zach. He had a few blisters on his hands. Zach said that was normal. Then Bradley asked if Zach would come by next Saturday so they could take a drive and hit golf balls again. Zach said of course, with a happy feeling in his heart.